In the previous model, we had basically two groups of people. We had consumers who demand stuff, and we had suppliers or producers who build and sell things on the market. In this model, we'll be talking more specifically about the behavior of consumers. So hopefully some of this stuff should be kind of intuitive because we all make purchases. When we make purchases, what do we think about? Well, the first thing that we have in mind is a budget. So a budget line shows us the combinations of goods which can be purchased with the income that we have and the fixed prices of each good. Now, to keep things simple, we'll be starting out with a two-good budget line. So here we have pizza and wall climbing as the two goods we can purchase. Now, this model doesn't have to only contain two goods. It could have n goods, but if we had n goods, we would have n axes, which is a little bit tougher to graph. So the easiest way to see it is to start simply with two goods. All right, we've got two goods. We have pizza and wall climbing. Our axes show us if this consumer purchases only pizza or only wall climbing, how many can they purchase? And also, what are the combinations that they can purchase with their income? So their income is $50. The price of pizza is $10. That's saying that if they purchase zero wall climbing and spend all of their money on pizza, they would be able to buy 5 pizzas. 5 times $10 is their full income of $50. Or likewise, they have $50 to spend if the price of climbing is $20 per hour, and they buy 0 pizzas and spend all their money on climbing, they can buy 2.5 hours of wall climbing. All right, we have a budget line that shows us the combination of goods they can purchase, which is indicating that points B, where they have 1 pizza for $10 and 2 hours of wall climbing for $40 total dollars, or here, where we have 3 pizzas costing $30 total dollars and 1 hour of wall climbing for 20 more. Those all add up to the $50 that this consumer can spend. So points A, B, C, and D are all points on what we call the budget line. All right, so this is somewhat analogous to the production possibilities frontier, right? The PPF showed us, given the resources, what can a society produce? A budget line shows, given the resources, specifically income that a consumer has, what can they consume? All right, so suppose we have a change in the price of a good. Here, this is saying the price of wall climbing decreases from $20 to $10 per hour, and the price of pizza doesn't change. How would this impact our budget line? Well, the number of pizzas that we can buy with $50 income at $10 a pizza has not changed, but the number of wall climbing that we can buy at this new price has. If wall climbing is now $10 per hour, with $50 to spend, we could buy up to 5 hours of wall climbing instead of 2.5 at the $20 price. So what we can see here is that when we had a change in price, this will cause a rotation of the budget line. In other words, it will move one endpoint, but not the other. And again, this is because the price of pizza didn't change, our income didn't change, so we can buy as many pizzas as before at point D, but the maximum number of wall climbing that we can buy has changed when this price changed, and the combinations that are affordable given our income has changed. So there we have a rotation of the budget line. All right, what about if we had a change in the price of pizza? Now pizza becomes more expensive. Wall climbing is assumed to still be $10 like the previous slide. So there, the price of wall climbing from the previous slide hasn't changed, but pizza has. This means we can buy fewer pizzas than before. Finally, if we have a change in income, hopefully you can see that what's going to happen here. Now we have more income if we have $60 instead of $50 to spend. Here we have the original prices. Now we can buy more stuff. Instead of only being able to afford 5 pizzas, we can afford 6. We could buy a 3rd hour of wall climbing instead of 2.5. So a change in the income will shift our entire budget line. This is an increase in income. And of course, if we had a decrease in income, we could buy less stuff, so it would shift the budget line inwards. All right, don't spend too much time here, but we're just showing here that the individual's demand curve actually comes from these changes. And again, I think it's easier to see if we had the n good world instead of the 2 good world, because when you're thinking about what to buy, you're thinking about all of the possibilities, not just 2 of them. But remember, we're keeping things simply. So here's showing us, all right, suppose the price of wall climbing increases from $20 to $30 per hour. Now everything is a little bit more expensive. This is showing that our budget line shifts in. And then we can map out the price of wall climbing and the number of wall climbing hours chosen by the individual. That's the demand curve, right? Shows the quantity at each possible price. And this is showing that when the price of wall climbing increased, our budget line shifted inwards, and we chose a point along our budget line because point A is now unaffordable at the new prices. So we're buying less wall climbing, and we can see that movement on the individual's demand curve. All right, so let's just go through a couple of these example problems. When a budget line is drawn on a graph, what's measured on the 2 axes? Well, let's take a look at a picture again here of our budget line. We have the number of pizzas in this example and the number of wall climbing hours. So what's measured on the axes of the budget line is the total quantities of each good. When the budget line becomes steeper when? Well, we know that if it is a shift because of an income, it won't change the steepness. So let's take a look at our examples here of price changes. All right, this one became a little bit flatter when the price of pizzas on the y-axis increased. It became a little bit steeper when we had a decrease in the price of the, this is also flatter. It's going from steep to flat. So let's go through our examples here. The budget line becomes steeper when what? When the price of the good measured on the horizontal axis decreases. If the price of the good measured on the horizontal axis decreases, then we will be able to buy more of that good, right? So it will shift outwards along the horizontal axis. The vertical axis won't change, but the horizontal axis will shift outwards. That would cause the budget curve to become flatter. So that's no good. The price of the good measured on the horizontal axis increases. If the price of the good measured on the horizontal axis increases, again, we're not going to change the vertical axis. The price of the good on the horizontal axis increases, we can buy less of it, so it'll shift that point in and cause the whole thing to become steeper. Again, maybe good to take a look at the pictures on the previous slides. Hard for me to do both at once here, but B sounds good. And then C and D, if the income increases or decreases, remember that's a parallel shift of the entire line. So hopefully you could eliminate C and D fairly easily. Just look at A and B. And our answer here is going to be B. All right, so in the next video, we'll come back, we'll talk about utility, which is how we value things. So far, we have prices, but in order to know exactly what to buy, the consumer is going to need to know how much they like stuff.